Hi, I'm Joseph Bellamy for RealZine.com at the Independent Film Festival of Boston, at the Somerville Theater in Davis Square, Somerville. With me today is Todd Rohal, the director of, can you say this for me, Todd?
The Catechism Cataclysm.
The Catechism Cataclysm. Todd's been kind enough to give us a couple minutes out of his busy schedule at the festival here to talk about his latest project.
Yeah, it's a tough one to describe, you know. I pitched it to our actors as this is a movie about a priest that drops his Bible into a toilet and descends into hell, you know. And I don't know if that's necessarily like how you would market a comedy, but it got
Sounds
them on
funny
board.
to me.
Yeah.
I'm laughing.
So it takes some left turns. It's a movie that kind of starts out as one thing, and then as you follow it, it really takes some left turns in some weird places. And you know, for me, I like movies that you walk into with knowing very little about it, and so it allows your expectations to be thrown around. So,
Who would have thought a story about a priest that takes some left turns?
Right, and then maybe not those left turns.
Maybe not those left turns. What would you say was your biggest challenge going from concept to screen?
Well, I had been gearing up for 3 years to try to make this other film, a completely different thing that I had a script written for, and it didn't happen last summer. I just basically found out there was just no way we were going to get it together in time, and so I was a bit bummed out by it, and then I just decided, you know, I'm going to do something. I was going to do something completely different. I was going to get something up and going. So basically, I called one of the actors that's in the film and said, would you want to do this? You know, he threw in some money. Our other friend David Green threw in some money. And then before we knew it, we were off and making this movie. And it was like one of those things where you start a small rock rolling and it turns into like an avalanche, you know, and it just happened. And it's totally been a blessing of a movie, you know, and so it's just sort of come together in this amazing way.
I know this is akin to asking a lady her age or wig, but what was your budget? What did you make it for?
The whole thing was shot and finished for $50,000. So
I flunked out on an education that cost that much.
What's that?
I said I flunked out on an education that cost that much.
Yeah, I mean it's not an easy amount of money to raise by any means. You know, like still to ask people for $5,000 is hard, but or $1,000 or $500, you know. But we were able to cobble it together in chunks, you know, and it's still a very, very, very low amount of money to shoot and finish and get, you know, what we had needed to do for it. So yeah, it was possible. It's good. It's not something I want to do every time, you know, because there's an amount of having to suck it up and ask your friends for favors and people to work for free, and there's only so much you can push yourself on that. But sometimes this I really needed to do. It had been 5 years since my previous film, so I needed to make something. Now,
do you think that the ability to do that lends you sort of a sense of cachet in further projects? Like, look, I'm a go-to guy. I can get her done. Kind of, is that something that you take away from that, or is the business ephemeral enough that it's like, okay, you did it last time, no guarantee you can do it this time? Kind of.
Well, I guess you'd be speaking for your whole crew, so you can't be like, well, I can definitely get these dudes to work for free every time,
right.
You know. So you can't promise that because you do owe it to those people to do, you know, to get, you know,
right. Next time everybody's getting paid, I swear.
Yeah, you know, there's only so many times you can say that, you know. So no, you never want that to be the case. But there is a point where you're like, we can either make this for this little bit amount of money while we have this window, or we can, you know, wait, you know. And this was something that just felt like we need to do this right now, you know.
Was there a favorite shot, favorite scene, favorite sequence? Is there anything is there a particular moment in this film where you say or feel, see that? That's how Todd Rohal directs a picture.
Well, this thing was made quick, so I threw a lot of the visual sense of it out the window. It was just like, let's just make something. You know, we shot it on the same camera we're shooting this on, pretty much just like these little Canon 7D cameras with like some lenses and whatever crap put onto it. But I think, like, in the overall sense, yes. I mean, it's helped define me, you know, a little bit more what I'm doing. And any project will, but, like, yeah, it's like this is like a comedy. It takes some really weird left turns, and, you know, it's not going to be definable. I don't want somebody to say, this is exactly what you're going to walk into, and that's what you walk out of.
Do you feel that was this a story that you had a personal connection to, or was it available on hand, something to do, let's do this, or more like, well, if I can't tell this story, there's this other story I really want to tell?
Sure, it's a weird film to say this about, but it's incredibly personal, but it's very abstract, you know?
Okay.
So that stuff's buried in there, and I love that feeling because I can really connect with it. I can talk about this movie endlessly, you know, because it comes from some real places, you know, from personal experience, and which is funny because you look at it and the thing's just this wild comedy that turns into chaos, and some people walked at it and said, it doesn't really mean, you know, it doesn't mean anything, or, you know, and that's... I mean, I like that there is that element to it where people could look at something and say it's just nonsense, but to me, I mean, that's like looking at someone else's life and be like, oh, this guy just kind of lived a nonsensical life, which, I mean, you can't sum up anybody's life like that, but you can definitely not make the effort to look into a strange life that way. So Yes, it's a very personal movie, and it's being responded to appropriately. Yeah.
So you good, bad, or indifferent or confused, you were able to get out inside of you what you wanted to get out in this film, and now you're sort of watching the pins fall as everybody else experiences it.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's like somebody said after, like, kind of said this, like, after a Sundance screening, came up to me and said, I didn't know this was going to be a horror film. And I was like, that sums up my, like, life, It's like, you're going along, things are fine, and then one day, it's like you could find out that your life's a horror film.
Right.
And I love that feeling about it. I love that that's kind of what, because you make these things and you don't necessarily know what the answer to the movie's going to be, and then maybe someone in the audience tells you what your movie is about.
Right.
And somebody said that. I mean, there's been, even last night we had an interesting Q&A that somebody brought up some things that connected with me in an interesting way. But I mean, to have that kind of thing, it's like almost like a psychological, like sitting down with a psychiatrist or somebody, or a psychologist that's like re-explaining something to you.
If you could film your dream script and or work with your dream actor, like what would it be? What would be? If you could cast anybody in anything, where would you go with it?
Sure, yeah. I've got two other things that I'm working on now, and both of them are along those lines. I've always wanted to work with Paul Rubens. Like, I've been a big fan of his. And
what did you think of the Broadway show?
I loved it. Yeah, no, I loved that. I saw it in L.A. when it showed there, and I saw the HBO production of it, which I thought was great.
Pee-wee's not for kids.
But he is. He's like the right kind of like messed up, and. Totally. I mean, and he loves kids. He loves the way that he connects with them. I mean, like, there's a lot about him that I really love. But he's got such an incredible career, just what's happened to him and stuff. He's a strong guy, and so he's always somebody that I've always thought about. And there'll be something, hopefully that can someday work out. But he's like, strangely enough, I guess a lot of people want to work with Ben Affleck, but to me, it's Paul Rubens for sure. I only say Ben Affleck because we're in Boston. So.
Well, my wrap-up question was going to be what's next, and I believe you were getting towards that.
Sure, yeah. I've got two different things that are coming up. One, we're going to be shooting this summer, it looks like. As of just last week, I think we've got the final pieces in place to shoot this movie that I wrote about Boy Scouts. So we're moving on from
priests
to the
Boy Scouts. Is the next one going to be about uncles? Or
maybe it should be. The next one after that's going to be even weirder, and I don't even know how to explain how that's going to go. So yeah, there's going to be some steps here that are weird, but this one's actually bigger in scale and budget. And I'm anxious to see how this all comes together. It's a totally different experience for me, and but so far it's been a work in progress for like 3 years now, and so we'll be shooting this summer. It looks like if everything keeps coming together. So, and then after that, we're going to make this totally balls out crazy movie called Sweet Cheeks that I won't say much more than that. But
please stay in touch with us, because anything called Sweet Cheeks, I want to know about it when it comes out.
Yeah.
I'm getting the sense that you used a phrase a moment ago, totally unexpected. And I would like to say that it's been a totally unexpected pleasure to interview you, Todd.
Well, thank you.
And I think for everybody watching, I'm pretty sure that totally unexpected is going to be the watchword that gets connected to your work from what I'm feeling here. That the unexpected is to be expected from Todd Rohal. I'm Joseph Bellamy.
I'm Todd Rohal.
And we have been coming to you live from the Independent Film Festival of Boston for RealZine.com. Make sure to come on down to any and all of the theaters, but make sure you see, and I'm going to throw it back to the director so I don't screw it up.
The Catechism Cataclysm.
The Catechism Cataclysm.
Yeah, see?